That's pretty much, well, not confirmed by the UFC, but confirmed by Islam Makhachev. Islam Makhachev came out and said, no, that fight's not happening. He's got lots of work to do in the welterweight division. Outside of that, I mean, Michael Chandler's ranked number 13. There's Renato Moicano at 10. There's Dan Hooker at number 8. He wouldn't be a bad stylistic matchup for Conor McGregor, but I think it's going to be like an old school throwback and something big and something that's going to blow people away. Dustin Poirier would do that. I think Jorge Masvidal would do that. And certainly a third fight with Nate Diaz, that would definitely blow the roof off.
He's gonna move it, we did.
You're under arrest. You're under arrest. Stop resisting.
Conor McGregor is the perfect example. Why do you think he's such a big star? You think he's such a big star because he's funny? Yeah, that's part of it. You think he's such a big star because he speaks so well? Absolutely part of it. And you just keep going down the line of all these things that makes him a star. But number one, first and foremost, the reason he is a global superstar and people love this guy is because he's a real fighter. This guy, I'm the guy that makes the phone calls and hears people going, yeah, I'm not going to take that fight, or I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to do that. Never has Conor McGregor said, Lorenzo and I were standing in his living room. Kid just woke up, got out of bed, he's in his underwear, okay? Doesn't even have time to process what's really going on. Looks us dead in the eye and says, I'm going to take a shower and get dressed and work out. Let me know after I'm done working out who I'm fighting. Doesn't care.
Right.
And that, people feel that, and people notice that, and people...
So here's what's happening. The whispers about Conor McGregor stepping back into the cage have transformed into a full-blown roar, and the intelligence coming through suggests something massive is brewing. Word is the Notorious is grinding through an absolutely brutal training camp, laser focused on what could be his biggest return yet, potentially on that legendary White House fight card. What's really striking this time around is how everything feels completely different. Gone are the flashy sideshows and pre-fight spectacles that used to dominate the headlines. Instead, we're looking at a former two-division champion who stripped away all the noise, channeling that raw hunger that once made him completely untouchable inside the cage. When he steps onto a stage this massive and historically significant, it won't be about chasing easy money or riding past glory. This is going to be his declaration to everyone watching that he's still the king, and he's ready to prove exactly why he revolutionized this entire game.
Last one, White House is what everybody's talking about. Big card on June 14th. There's going to be 100,000 people across the street.
I'm going to be in there.
Who's more likely to fight on that card, Jon Jones or Conor McGregor?
I'll say Conor McGregor. Listen,
Why?
man, if you're gonna have the biggest fight card of all time, you gotta have the biggest star the UFC has ever seen.
Now here's where things get interesting with our Irish superstar. Asa Khan picked up on something crucial when McGregor fired off that explosive tweet and then mysteriously wiped it from existence within minutes. The deleted message claimed he'd been offered a fight, accepted his opponent's conditions, and was just waiting for contracts to arrive before everything vanished into thin air. Michael Bisping jumped all over this development, breaking down why it felt completely legitimate. According to The Count, this wasn't just random social media noise, but more like someone accidentally revealing massive news that wasn't supposed to go public yet. And if Bisping's reading the situation correctly, if this really was an unintentional leak, then we could be looking at this earth-shattering comeback happening way sooner than anyone expected.
Conor McGregor, according to his recently deleted tweet, he's back, he's coming, he's on.
I'm coming!
What did he say? He said, I have been offered an opponent and I accept. He said, I've been offered an opponent and I accept, waiting on my contract. Now that tweet recently got deleted as well. One would assume, right, reading between the lines, could be wrong, that he's telling the truth, that he got the offer, they've agreed an opponent, and he was very excited, so he tweeted about something, then he was like, oh shit, I'm not supposed to say anything yet, or whatever, so he deleted it, okay? And obviously, it's a nice little PR move, it generates some interest for Conor McGregor, and the interest for Conor McGregor, he doesn't need to generate interest, let's be honest, okay?
Michael Bisping laid out the reality perfectly when he continued his analysis. Love him or despise him, Conor McGregor remains the most magnetic draw this sport has ever produced. Bisping reinforced this by diving into that legendary rivalry with Nate Diaz, where each man holds one victory over the other through two absolutely brutal wars that generated massive numbers and proved their combined star power. That first encounter shocked the world when Diaz locked in that submission nobody saw coming, creating one of MMA's most unforgettable moments. The rematch delivered a relentless back-and-forth battle where McGregor's tactical adjustments earned him a hard-fought decision, though not without weathering serious punishment from the Stockton native. So if Nate Diaz is genuinely interested in settling unfinished business and taking control of this current fighting era, then their trilogy would instantly become the biggest fight the UFC could possibly orchestrate.
But Nate Diaz, that is correct. Stockton's own, king of the face slap, whatever you want to call him.
I don't give a I don't give a either. I don't give a either.
Nate Diaz, he was never far away from a bit of controversy, okay? He was talking recently, and he said that he's coming back. He's got unfinished business. He's going to take over, that this generation of fighters, they're all crap, and he's going to come in, take over. He's got unfinished work to do.
McGregor 3, I want to fight maybe Dustin Poirier if he's subject to the pussy, and then maybe Mike Perry. Let's see what happens in the future, though.
And someone said, what about the White House? He's like, oh yeah, that'd be dope too.
Yeah, the White House would be perfect.
You're the man.
Now, we've talked about this many times. Of course, Diaz and McGregor, they are one apiece. Nate Diaz shocked the world. He wasn't
Surprise, mother.
when he choked out Conor McGregor, and of course they fought again. Conor came back. It was another great performance. He dropped him with leg kicks. He dropped him with every left hand that he threw. But it was a war, and Diaz made him work, and Diaz even had Conor running away at one point because he was getting a little bit tired. But the fact of the matter is that those were two of the most watched fights in UFC history, much like all of Conor McGregor's fights, okay? He is by far and large the biggest.
Bisping continued by predicting that if this rumored White House event actually comes together, Conor McGregor will absolutely be the centerpiece of the entire spectacle. He even threw out Jorge Masvidal as a fascinating potential opponent, admitting he'd prefer that explosive matchup over the heavily discussed Michael Chandler bout that's been floating around everywhere. But the former middleweight champion didn't rule out that third Nate Diaz encounter either, acknowledging that Diaz still possesses serious drawing power and maintains that almost mythical following within the MMA community, just like his equally legendary older brother. Speaking of Nick Diaz, the elder sibling has been dropping hints about his own massive return, claiming he feels rejuvenated and mentally sharp despite how concerning his last performance against Robbie Lawler appeared to most observers. In Bisping's view, if both Diaz brothers are genuinely healthy and motivated to reclaim the spotlight, that creates an incredible collection of blockbuster possibilities for what could become a record-shattering fight card.
But the White House is going down, and Conor McGregor, I think, will be fighting on it, and Jorge Masvidal would be a good matchup, okay? I'd rather watch that than Michael Chandler, respectfully, but Nate Diaz 3? Now, Nate Diaz is still a draw, right? People love Nate Diaz. He has got cult-like status in the mixed martial arts world, just like his brother. And his brother Nick, by the way, he said recently that he's going to come back as well. He said, maybe I was getting it confused, maybe he said this new generation of fighters. He's only 42 years old. He's cleaned up his act. He's been to rehab and stuff like that. Of course, last time we saw him, it wasn't a good look. He was a little bit overweight. I think it was Robbie Lawler that.
Adding serious momentum to this White House speculation, Daniel Cormier recently addressed what might be the most important question surrounding the entire event. Between reigning heavyweight champion Jon Jones and returning superstar Conor McGregor, who's more likely to actually step into the Octagon on that historic card? Cormier didn't hesitate for a second before emphatically choosing McGregor. His reasoning was absolutely bulletproof and impossible to dispute. If the UFC genuinely wants to stage the most massive event in company history, especially one designed to pack an enormous crowd on that symbolic June 14th date, then you don't build around just any big name. You construct the entire event around the absolute biggest star the organization has ever created. In Daniel Cormier's expert assessment, there's zero question that star has always been and remains Conor McGregor. For millions of fans desperately waiting for official confirmation, this means all the anticipation isn't just wishful thinking, it's practically a guarantee of something genuinely spectacular and completely unforgettable.
Last one, White House is what everybody's talking about. Big card on June 14th. There's going to be 100,000 people across the street.
I'm going to be in there.
Who's more likely to fight on that card, Jon Jones or Conor McGregor?
I'll say Conor McGregor. Listen,
Why?
man, if you're gonna have the biggest fight card of all time, you gotta have the biggest star the UFC has ever seen.
Then we have Henry Cejudo, the Olympic gold medalist and former dual division UFC champion, weighing in on potential matchups for this historic White House card. When pressed about which bout truly captures his imagination, he doesn't even pause before enthusiastically backing a Tom Aspinall versus John Jones collision over the frequently mentioned Francis Ngannou versus Jones dream fight. His logic runs much deeper than simple fighter comparisons. Cejudo explains that we're discussing something far beyond just another fight. This is the nation's 250th birthday celebration, a symbolic England versus USA battle that represents the ultimate clash between the all-time great and the present and future of heavyweight competition. He frames it as a genuine collision of different eras, a bout that already carries undeniable legacy implications before anyone even steps foot in the Octagon. From his perspective, this wouldn't simply generate headlines and pay-per-view buys. It would create a defining and pivotal moment for mixed martial arts itself, establishing narratives and cementing legacies that will resonate for generations.
So Henry, here's the potential. Alex Pereira, John Jones, White House. Or Dana says, all right, John Jones, Tom Aspinall, White House. Or Dana says, John Jones, Francis Ngannou, White House. Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler, White House. What's the biggest fight out of these 4 fights here?
I'd probably say Tom and Jones.
Over Francis and Jones?
Yes. Why? Because it's the 250th birthday of our country, England versus USA.
The MMA guru is absolutely electric with excitement when discussing the pure concept of this White House card. His imagination is running wild thinking about fights that could practically ignite with intensity before the first punch gets thrown. He finds himself completely fascinated by potential matchups like Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev. These are competitors who bring genuine animosity and undeniable edge every time they step into the cage, creating those compelling battles that force every person in the arena to lean forward and hang on every single exchange. For the guru, it's not simply about displaying incredible technique and skill, it's about that very real possibility of complete chaos erupting at any moment, and he can't help but smile when considering all the explosive possibilities. In his expert assessment, these are exactly the types of volatile matchups that have the power to completely define an entire evening, guaranteeing that people will still be discussing them long after the Octagon lights have been turned off.
Funny.
Islam and Armin could be good.
Oh yeah. But I don't think there'd be too much bad blood between them. I'd want to see like a Topuria Makhachev on them.
Ooh.
Islam Makhachev is making his desires absolutely transparent when it comes to securing that White House spotlight, and he wants it to happen as quickly as possible. For the current lightweight champion, this represents much more than just another title defense on his growing resume. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to carve his name into the history books on a stage that will never be replicated. His confidence is radiating from every interview and social media post. His preparation is completely locked in, and his hunger for this moment is impossible to ignore. But the massive question continues to create almost unbearable tension throughout the entire MMA community. Who will actually step forward to challenge him in this historic setting? With his opponent still completely unknown and shrouded in secrecy, the speculation is reaching fever pitch as fans frantically debate every possible explosive confrontation. One element, though, is completely guaranteed. When Islam Makhachev finally enters that octagon on the White House card, it won't just be another fight on the calendar. It will be a thunderous and undeniable declaration to the entire sporting world.
If somebody wants, let's do it. I tell them I will be ready soon. If White House, of course, I want to be in White House because there may be one and only we will make the fighting in White House. I want to be in history. Now I'm already make good money, which one enough for my family, you know. And now I have everything before it's also not coming in my dream, you know. Now I just ready, you know. I training every day, still hungry, still fighting, still want to be champion.
Taking a slightly more analytical approach to this White House card discussion, John Anik brings up some important considerations while remaining excited about Conor McGregor's potential return. Although he's absolutely thrilled at the prospect of seeing the Irishman back in action, he questions whether certain rumored matchups truly make sense, specifically a possible encounter with Michael Chandler. While such a contest would definitely be entertaining and capture immediate mainstream attention, Anik argues it wouldn't carry significant meaning within the competitive lightweight landscape and might even take place at some random catchweight, diminishing its overall importance. From his perspective, the real intrigue lies in potential battles with opponents like Nate Diaz, or dangerous contenders like Renato Moicano, fights that would genuinely test McGregor's current abilities and bring legitimate stakes to the table. Meanwhile, Luke Thomas offers an even more optimistic forecast, confidently predicting that this White House UFC event could easily shatter every viewership record in promotional history. He smartly recognizes that the unprecedented venue and high-profile matchmaking already make it stand out dramatically, but believes the real game-changing factor is the brilliant broadcast strategy. With CBS and Paramount Plus simultaneously streaming the card, fans won't encounter any frustrating subscription barriers, meaning the event could reach audiences far beyond the typical dedicated UFC demographic. Thomas views this as a rare and almost perfect convergence where ideal timing, an unparalleled platform, and guaranteed spectacle have miraculously aligned to create optimal conditions for absolutely massive viewership. If all the pieces fall into place perfectly, he's convinced this could transcend being just another fight card and evolve into a legitimate cultural phenomenon that people will passionately discuss for years and possibly decades.
Interesting, Dana White said this week that he thinks the UFC White House event will be the most watched event. And on the surface of it, that seems like a plausible claim. I mean, just sort of, again, given the unusualness of it, could it be that case? Plus, if they're going to be simulcasting on linear television through CBS as well as Paramount Plus, so now you're not behind any kind of a paywall, that certainly could make an enormous difference. I think it is absolutely on.
Luke Thomas expands his breakdown by emphasizing that while dedicated fight enthusiasts will watch regardless of the matchups, attracting those critical casual viewers requires incredibly intelligent and strategic fight booking. He stresses that you absolutely cannot load the card with unknown fighters and realistically expect to achieve record-breaking viewership numbers. The contests themselves, beyond all the pageantry and spectacle, must feel important and carry real competitive significance. When you combine that with the incredible prestige of the White House location, the sheer uniqueness of the entire event, and even unpredictable variables like weather conditions, the potential becomes staggering. He's absolutely convinced that with the perfect combination of meaningful matchups and these extraordinary circumstances, this event has the capability to not just succeed commercially, but to create a truly historic and monumental impact on UFC history. For Luke Thomas, it's precisely that powerful mixture of compelling and significant fights combined with an absolutely unparalleled stage that could transform this from just another pay-per-view into a profoundly meaningful cultural moment that extends far beyond the confines of mixed martial arts.
It will just come down to a couple of factors. Number one, for fight fans, I mean, fight fans aren't going to skip it. Fight fans won't even skip, the average, or the hardcore fight fans, I should say, won't even skip an event at the Apex. But to get the casual fan, I do think that some level of matchmaking will matter here, some level of it, right? I mean, they couldn't just put nobodies on that card and then have it there and it would be the biggest event in UFC history. I don't think that's quite right. However, with the right kind of matchmaking and, good luck with the weather and all that kind of stuff, I think it can go.
The news is now officially spreading like wildfire throughout the entire combat sports world. Conor McGregor is confirmed for the White House card, and the burning question that's consuming every conversation, dominating every podcast, and lighting up every social media platform is simple. Who will he actually fight when that cage door closes? Speculation is reaching absolutely insane levels. Fighter names are being thrown around faster than McGregor's famous left hand, and while a potential Michael Chandler showdown would certainly deliver entertainment value and mainstream appeal, countless fans are desperately hoping for an opponent who would truly challenge the former champion's legendary abilities. Consider possibilities like the always dangerous Nate Diaz for that epic trilogy, or maybe a hungry young contender like Renato Moicano, who could bring serious problems. Perhaps it'll be someone completely unexpected, a high-stakes battle that catches even the most connected insiders completely off guard. Time will eventually reveal all the answers, but one fact remains absolutely undeniable. The Octagon is about to witness fireworks, unlike anything we've experienced before. Now we want to hear from you. Share your wildest predictions in the comments section, and tell us with complete confidence who you believe will step up to face the one and only Notorious